The Houston Rockets were one of the busiest teams during the offseason. The team changed coaches, front office personnel, and a multitude of players in hopes of improving a club that won 52 games last season but hasn't advanced past the first round of the playoffs since 1997. Now, with Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady missing a combined 45 games last season because of injury, the Rockets have taken steps to assemble a team stocked with talent and depth. As we take a look back at last year, 22 games over 500 for the Rockets, finishing 5th in the Western Conference. Steve Francis returns. Rick Adelman takes over for Jeff Van Gundy. Is there enough there in Houston, Frank, to make it past the first round as we take a look at the Rockets?
I definitely think there is, and guess what? The Rockets have what every team needs, and that's for their key players to stay healthy. They won 52 games during the regular season. Pretty good considering those injuries that they had. Jeff Van Gundy still was fired, but I'll tell you what, Rick Adelman is a very good coach, and I think when you look at a lot of these pieces, he can make it work. Very good offensive coach. I think that's why they went in that direction, but the pressure will be on them because to duplicate 52 wins will not be easy, and like we talked about, you get a low seed in the Western Conference, it's tough to beat those higher seeded teams.
Fred, before the playoffs last year against Utah, Tracy McGrady said, hey, it's all on me. I'm the franchise player. If we don't get out of the first round, blame me. Well, they didn't get out of the first round. What does Tracy McGrady have to do to get this team out of the first round?
Yeah, well, my advice to T-Mac, shh. Don't call so much attention upon yourself. You know, it's still a team. And we all play, we win, we lose together. So don't put that burden on yourself. Unfairly, he did that. I guess he wanted to take pressure off himself by saying it early. But I tell you what a multi-talented player he is. He can get to the basket, make the three-pointer, he can finish, he can make them two-pointer, he can score. Problem is, shot selection. He wears himself out with degree of difficulty of offensive opportunities. He's got to learn now to allow this team now to go inside out, play the game to Yao Ming. He picks his spot, more dominate the fourth quarter rather than dominate the whole game. Once he learns that, his team will advance.
Peter, it's hard to believe a team with the inside-out combination of McGrady and Yao Ming hasn't won a playoff series since 1997. But when you talk about Yao, I mean, is he still developing and improving?
Yeah, he is, but he became probably the most dominant big man other than Tim Duncan in the league, more than Shaq now for both of those guys. Don't hit me, Shaq. But I think the biggest change in this team is Van Gundy leaving and Adelman coming in. The team is going to flow much better. They're not going to be as stagnant. They're not going to be as predictable. And they're not going to be as angry at their coach because no matter what McGrady said about sticking up for Van Gundy after he left, most of the players did not like to play for Van Gundy. And so they made a lot of changes. You notice that Bonzi Wells is suddenly healthy, and Steve Francis wanted to play there even though they already have his position filled. They've got Mike James. They've got an awful lot of players at the same position. But Scala was a great addition to this team. They definitely needed depth in the front court. They're the most improved team other than the Celtics in the league.
Here, as we take a look at Tracy McGrady, this is another team that seems that the postseason determines what we think of their season. Does Tracy McGrady put too much pressure on himself, Frank, now about getting out of the postseason, this monkey on his back?
I definitely think it's weighing on his mind. And late in that Game 7, there were times when McGrady looked like he didn't want the ball. And then Yao Ming on the other end of the court. Hey, Yao Ming is a terrific worker, incredible work ethic. He's been very productive, but he can never seem to get a big rebound. And in that Game 7, the Rockets gave up a couple of huge offensive rebounds that ended up killing them. So those two guys, they're obviously superstars, but they've yet to prove that they're good enough to get out of the first round.
Rick Adelman takes over for Jeff Van Gundy. Will this be the year T-Mac and Yao get out of the first round?